Olivia and Grandma's visit. Olivia and Grandma's visit.
Where's the grandma?
We'll see. Olivia and Grandma's visit.
Grandma's visit? And who put the picture? Who put down the picture?
We'll see. It says, adopted by Cordelia Evans, written by Eric Casimiro and Kat Boltieri, illustrated. Present the pictures by Sean L. Johnson. Olivia. Olivia.
Wait, what? Pizza money. Really? What is it from?
We'll see. Okay, look at the shirt. Julian looked around Olivia's room and frowned a little bit. Won't you get into trouble for wallpapering your room? He asked. Oh no, Olivia replied, as she carefully applied more glue to the back of the paper. My mom said she wanted to make the house look nice for my grandma's visit. All since Grandma loves flowers, I thought, why not put up on the wall? So Grandma's coming to visit. So Olivia is taking wallpaper and she's putting it on her wall, and she is putting flowers on the wallpaper. This right here is Olivia, right over here. And this is Julian. If you were listening, his name is Julian, and this is Olivia. So this is Julia, and this is Julian, and this is Olivia. And Olivia's grandma is coming to visit. So Olivia wants to make the house look nice. So Olivia is putting wallpaper on the wall, and she's drawing flowers. And Julian is asking Olivia, do you think that is good to do without asking your mom? And Olivia said that Olivia's mom wants to make the house look nice. So Olivia is trying to make the house look nice by putting flowers on the wall. So her bedroom looks nice and beautiful. Let's see what happens. What's going on here, Olivia? Mother asked. I'm making my room pretty. For Grandma, Olivia explained. I have some wallpaper left over. Want me to do your room too? Maybe some other time, Mother said. For now, please start moving your things into Ian's room. Why? Asked Olivia. I'm staying here in my room with Grandma. No, Grandma will stay by herself, and you'll get to stay in Ian's room. Won't that be fun? Said Mother. Olivia wrinkled her nose, and as she checked out Ian's room. Something smells in here, she declared. She sprayed perfume as Julian dragged her trunk into the room. Mom, Ian yelled. Olivia is taking over my room. Mother, come to the door. Olivia, Ian is sharing his room with you. But that doesn't mean you can turn it into your room, she said. So Grandma is coming to visit Olivia. So that means that Olivia has to leave her room because Olivia's grandmother is going to stay in Olivia's room. So Olivia is taking all her things and going into her brother's room. It's going into Ian's room. So now Olivia and Ian are going to be in the same bedroom until their grandma leaves. So let's see what happens.
Where's the girl's Olivia's room?
Determined to convince her mother that she couldn't possibly be expected to bunk with Ian, Olivia held up a glass jar. Look, Mom, Ian has fleas. There's no way I can stay in a room with fleas. I don't see any fleas, Olivia, Mother said. Nice try. What happens to the blackberry jam that was in the jar? It was empty when I found it, Olivia said. Later that day, Olivia was trying to set up her arts and crafts station, but she was having trouble because Ian was zooming around her in circles on his tricycle. Excuse me, said Olivia. Vroom, vroom, said Ian. Olivia wished there was some way she could escape from Ian's room. So Olivia is trying to convince her mom that she can't stay in Ian's room. So she's saying that Ian has fleas, Ian has a dirty room, but her mom is not convinced. Her mom is saying, Olivia, you have to stay with your brother until your grandmother leaves. And then Olivia is trying to do her artwork, but Ian is not letting her because Ian is riding his bicycle in his room. So Olivia is not able to do her artwork. Look, she has her box with all her books, but she's not able to color because Ian is on his bicycle.
Naughty.
Yeah, he's on his bicycle. Let's see what happens. I cannot stay locked up in this castle with my brother for another minute, Olivia said. I must find a secret passage. Whoa, check out the spiders, Ian said as he peered into the passageway Olivia had discovered. I think I'll find another way out, said Olivia. So now I think she's pretending that she's in a castle. I think she might be pretending she's in a castle. Let's see. Oh, she's in. So you think she's actually in a castle? Okay, let's see. So maybe she found an actual castle. Let's see. You think it's a real castle?
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's a real castle.
It is a real castle.
Olivia, Ian, Grandma's here, called Mother from downstairs. Olivia and Ian raced out of the room. Grandma gathered Ian into a big hug. I just can't get enough of my little man. And where's my Olivia? Here I am, Grandma, Olivia called. She was wearing her new hat and scarf. Now that's style, darling, Grandma said.
Wow.
Yeah, so Grandma's here.
Where's the grandma?
Yeah, the Grandma's right here. Grandma is right over here. This is Grandma.
That's not grandma.
Yeah, this is Grandma. Look, she's wearing her hat.
That's not grandma.
Yeah, this is Grandma.
No, it's not.
It is, it's Grandma. It's
It's
Grandma.
Olivia dressed up as grandma.
Oh, you think? Oh.
I think it's Olivia dressed up as grandma.
Oh, okay, let's see. Maybe.
No,
It's Olivia dressed up
because
as
I see
Grandma.
her teeny
Oh,
tiny.
you see her little, oh, you see her feet, right. Oh, so maybe it might not be Grandma. Let's see.
It might not be grandma.
It might not be. Let's see.
Let's see what.
After a delicious spaghetti dinner, it was time to dance. Grandma turned on some lively music. Listen to the beat and move those little feet, she instructed as she showed off some of her latest dance moves. Wonderful, Ian. You're making it your own, exclaimed Grandma. That's it, Olivia. You're a natural. So look, yes, this is Grandma, Olivia, and Ian, and they're all dancing together. They're all dancing together. Olivia, her brother, and Grandma. Yeah, so they're all dancing together. Yeah, Olivia, brother. So Grandma, Olivia, and her brother. So this, in fact, over here, it was Grandma. Yeah. So here, Olivia and her grandma, they're all dancing together. They're all dancing together. They're having fun and dancing together.
Why are dancing?
They're having fun. They're dancing together.
The food needs to go down.
Yeah, they're having fun and dancing together.
The food needs to go down.
They're having fun. Later, Olivia walked into her room while Grandma was getting ready for bed. I love the new wallpaper, Grandma told her. Thank you, said Olivia. Did you need something? Asked Grandma. I forgot my ear ribbons. Grandma looked at her. What about the ribbons you're wearing? Oh, right, said Olivia, backing slowly out of the room. Okay, good night, Grandma. Good night, Olivia. So Olivia's getting ready for bed, and then she's getting ready for bed, and the grandma's saying that she loves the wallpaper. And the grandma said, "Did you need something?" asked Grandma. And then Olivia said that she wanted her ear ribbons. And then her grandmother said, "You have ear ribbons on your ears already." And Olivia said, "Oh, I forgot." So Grandma said, "Good night, Olivia." But Grandma likes how she decorated the bedroom. Olivia's grandmother loves the bedroom, how it's decorated. A moment later, Olivia poked her head back into her room. "Yes, Olivia?" said Grandma. "I just remembered. I forgot my favorite slippers," replied Olivia. "You know, I might be a little lonely all by myself in here," said Grandma. "Do you think you could bunk in here with me?" "Really?" exclaimed Olivia. "You wouldn't mind?" "I'd be delighted," said Grandma. "And I know just the thing to make this sleepover extra special. Why don't you get cozy in bed? I'll be right back." So look, now Grandma asked Olivia if she wants to stay in the bedroom with her so they could sleep together. And Olivia is so happy because Olivia didn't want to go into her brother's room. She wanted to leave Ian's room and stay in her own bedroom.
Why?
Because she didn't want to be in the same room with her brother. She wanted to stay in her room.
Dirty.
Yeah, she thought it was dirty and messy, and she didn't have any room to do her own things. So now Grandma was, do you think you could bunk in here with me and sleep with her? And Olivia's so happy to stay with her grandmother. She's so happy to stay with her grandmother. Because that's what she wanted. Olivia wanted to stay with her grandmother.
Not her grandma. Not her grandma.
And her grandma, yes. One Sunday, 2 spoons. Oh, look, they're eating a sundae. 1 sundae, 2 spoons. Grandma said a few minutes later, "You're the best grandma in the whole entire world," Olivia said as she reached for a spoon. "I've always said you had good taste," Grandma replied. "Do you always have ice cream before you go to sleep?" Olivia asked. "Olivia, only on special occasions," Grandma explained. "Usually I end my day by thinking back to my favorite parts." "Why don't you try?" Olivia thought for a minute. "Well, I think the pancakes I made for breakfast, and I liked it when William threw his cereal. But I think my favorite part today is this ice cream sundae," asked Grandma. "No, being with you," said Olivia. So look, before Olivia goes to sleep, Olivia is eating a sundae with her grandma.
What is Sunday?
Olivia's eating ice cream with her grandma.
But you cannot say Sunday.
Yeah, it's called a sundae. But Olivia's eating ice cream with grandma, and Olivia is having so much fun spending the time with grandma.
Now that's the end.
In the middle of the night, Olivia was woken up by a loud noise. Grandma was snoring. She tried to ignore it, but she couldn't fall back asleep. She reached over and carefully moved Grandma's head. Grandma stopped snoring. Olivia smiling closed her eyes. Then she heard it again. Zzz. So Olivia tried plugging her ears. Then she tried listening to music, but she could still hear Grandma snore. So Grandma is snoring and Olivia is not able to go to sleep. Olivia's grandma is snoring and Olivia is unable to go to sleep. She's trying to plug her ear. She's trying to move Grandma's head, but Olivia's grandma is still snoring. Look. Oh, no, thank you. Finally, Olivia couldn't take it anymore. She slipped out of bed, crept down the hall, and climbed into the top bunk of Ian's bed, where she fell asleep immediately. The next morning, Olivia returned to her room, just as Grandma was beginning to Tai Chi root. "I wonder where you'd got off to, darling," said Grandma. "I slept in Ian's room," Olivia explained. "You did?" asked Grandma. "Why?" "Ian was sad I wasn't sleeping in his room." "But please don't tell him I told you," Olivia said. "I wouldn't dream of it," replied Grandma. "Besides, you talk in your sleep. I couldn't sleep a wink." So now they woke up, and Olivia went back to her room and told Grandma why she went to Ian's room. Because she couldn't fall asleep.
Because of his
Of the snoring, because of the snoring, yes. That night, Grandma read Olivia a story in Ian's room. "What was your favorite part of today, Grandma?" Olivia asked when Grandma was finished reading. "This," said Grandma, telling that story. "No, being with you," replied Grandma. "Good night, Olivia." "Good night, Grandma." So now the grandma is reading them a story, and now Olivia is going to sleep with Ian. And she's happy that Grandma is reading her a story. Yeah, but now she wants to sleep with Ian because Grandma snores sometimes and she wants to sleep with her brother in the quiet room. In a room that's quiet. The end.